I'm currently in Beverly Hills and there's a guy pulled over on the side of the road blasting music and taking videos of himself singing along to it. So yay, welcome to Beverly Hills. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin if you're new here, and today I realized that we're starting off this video in a slightly different setup than I normally do. We are out and about on a shoot day, and I figured instead of having, you know, a perfectly put together intro to this vlog, I would just show you the realities of what it's like when I go out and take my Instagram photos, because my car sort of becomes my home base on these days. Can you see that? That's all my clothes and outfits and looks for the day. And yeah, so I just wanted to do a video about, as you can probably tell by the title, how I take my own Instagram photos. And yes, I, for the most part, like 99.99% of the time, take my own Instagram photos. My husband only takes a few every now and then. I do take all my photos by myself because I don't want to ruin social situations with friends by being like, hey, can you take my photo? And a lot of the times, unless you know, a place where I would be meeting a friend happens to be particularly beautiful looking, I like to really go above and beyond on my location scouting. So that is actually my first step when it comes to taking my own photos, is I do a ton of background research in advance. And I'm not going to go in depth with that on this video because I already did a video, which I will link up above, on how I color coordinate my Instagram feed. And in that video, I do go into detail about how I find my backgrounds, the different types of research that I do. And I follow a lot of Instagrammers and content creators that take photos in Beverly Hills, and from what I've seen and what I can see with my own eyes right now is that there are definitely a lot of like beautiful front yards, beautiful gardens, topiaries, stuff like that. So I'm really excited to be here. So yes, that is actually my first step in how I take photos by myself, is I do a ton of research on the background. While I'm shooting each outfit, I will go over a different aspect of how I shoot by myself. So this first one, picking the location, I'm just going to go ahead and show you the location in which I'll be shooting, and then I will put up photos on the screen of the pictures that I shot in this area. And then in the next outfit, I will go over the next step after picking the location. I'm not sure how I lost the original clip where I stepped out of the car and explained where I was, but basically I drove around Beverly Hills until I found a hedge or an ivy covered wall that I thought would make a great backdrop for this photo. Alright guys, I have on another outfit, so that can only mean one thing, and that is I am moving on to the second part of how I shoot by myself, and I wanted to get into the actual mechanics of the equipment that I use in order to shoot by myself. And let me actually turn my AC down a little bit, because I just changed in the car on like a side street and it got really hot and sweaty, especially because this outfit, as you will see when I put the photos up, has a corset over a sweater under some high-waisted jeans. Not sure what I was thinking, but anyway. So I have, like a lot of other girls that shoot their own photos, I have an iPhone tripod. So as you can see, you just, let me grab my phone, it's on my lap with my notes on it for what I want to say. I just hook it up into the actual tripod itself. As you can see, it extends to fit the phone, and then, oof, this guy has actually a lot of room at 1, 2, 3, 4 notches to extend it with, and then obviously the base of the tripod. And if I can find the order on Amazon where I bought this exact one, I will link it below. And it does come with one of these little Bluetooth clickers. I'm not sure if this is the one that this tripod actually came with, because back when I first started shooting by myself, I was experimenting with all different types of tripods and clickers and stuff like that, because some of these are made a lot better than others. So I think this might have actually come with a set of just the Bluetooth clickers, because the tripod and the Bluetooth clicker do not need to like be together in order to work. This is just, as the name suggests, it's a Bluetooth clicker that you can use to take your photos via Bluetooth. So again, I will link down below what I can find that I know that I've bought in the past that I've enjoyed. But to be honest, I used to rely on this guy a lot in the beginning of my shooting, but I don't anymore, because obviously when you have this in your hand, you don't want it to be visible, so it kind of limits your posing options. Like, you know, there's only so many photos you can take where you're just kind of like trying your best to hide it, especially if you were like I was when I first started shooting and I still had a full-time job, so I was very limited in the amount of time that I had to shoot. Sometimes you'll be rushing through a shoot, you know, you'll get the photos, and then all of a sudden you realize that the only ones you like, for whatever reason, you can see the clicker in it, and you've already stopped shooting for the day. So I actually, more than anything, use the iPhone's internal self timer, and I really like this because I did notice some issues in the past with the range of this, so I don't always like to take full like close-up shots of like the camera being very close to my face. Sometimes I like to take farther away shots, closer shots, which I'll get to later on in this video. But there was a point when if I was too far away from my camera, this wouldn't work. And so sometimes if I'm taking like shots where I'm not the center of attention, it's like the background and I'm kind of in it, I will put the self timer on. So if you're on your phone and you are in the photo mode, if you swipe up, I'm doing this in reverse, you can see this little clock here, this little timer thing, and then I would always put it in 10 seconds. And 10 seconds might sound quite short, but I'll see if I can put some examples up on the side here that I know for a fact I've taken using this because the range was too far. Oh look, it's counting down. But it's actually plenty of time. If you already know what shot you want to take, you can just quickly run out there, do what you need to do. And I honestly almost entirely rely on the self timer function on the iPhone. I have like an iPhone, I feel like I should know what kind of iPhone I have. I have an iPhone 11 Pro and it has this self timer function on. I'm not sure if all of them do. I'm sure the newer models do, but that is what I use for the actual mechanics of my shooting. And so I'm gonna go ahead and show you the location just so you know, as well as the photos that I am taking at this location, because I'm really happy that I found it. Totally scored. And yeah, then we'll move on to the next tip. All right, so here is the actual setup of what I am talking about. And as you can see, I am filming on a road in Beverly Hills that does have cars on it, but because I'll show you the angle of the shot in a second, but luckily I'm able to get the shot that I want while being literally basically on the sidewalk, so I do feel safe. I'll just have to be careful watching for cars as I'm shooting. But I just wanted to show you, I hope it will zoom in for me. You can see my hand pretty well, but there we go, that's a little bit better. You can see the setup of the shot that I have. So I will just put this baby on 10-second timer and go ahead and shoot my shots. And I'm sure I'll get other angles of this outfit than just this one, this classic LA type photo, but this is all I'm gonna show you for this, and we'll move on to different types of angles in the next section of this video. Now I wanna talk you through how I set up the shot. And because today I am filming in Beverly Hills and shooting in Beverly Hills where people actually live, I do wanna do as much of this as I can outside, but I am shooting in front of people's houses and I want to respect their privacy, and I don't want to be standing in front of their yard like, hey, this is what I'm doing. So I will film what I do and I will talk you through it. So the first and most important thing that you need to find once you get to your location is lighting. And there are a few types of lighting that I feel most comfortable in. The first one is an easy one, that is golden hour. And some people think of golden hour as only being sunset, but I also think that you can get amazing soft diffused light before and after golden hour, both in the afternoon and in the morning. Actually, I have done some shots in the morning. The only downside to this is you do need to wake up quite early, especially in the summertime when the sun rises very early in the morning. But in those hours just before the sun rises, just after the sun sets, and just before the sun sets, and just after the sun rises, you can find amazing either soft creamy light or really flattering golden light. So if you're outside and you're shooting anywhere around those times, you are most likely going to get a good photo. The only thing I will have to say about this is there have been times in the past when I've been like, oh, it's golden hour, I'm gonna go shoot somewhere, and then I realized that because of maybe trees in the area or any other things like buildings blocking the way, you might have a great location in mind, but there might not actually be any light there during golden hour or around the time that the sun rises or sets, because there are physical obstacles in the way of getting that light to you in that location. Another type of lighting that I really like is indoor light right up against a window, and I don't love shooting indoors all the time, mostly because I like shooting outside. Like, I think visually there's more to look at when you're like in a park or in a beautiful location. The inside of a building can only be so beautiful, but I do like to utilize this every now and then when like I want to shoot inside my house, for example. But if you are going to shoot inside, make sure that you are having natural light against you. If you're really in a pinch, you could use like a ring light or some kind of like other indoor lighting setup. But if you are going to shoot inside, do your absolute best to find a time of day when the light is coming most directly into the room that you want to shoot in. The third type of lighting is what I actually end up shooting in most often, and that's not necessarily by choice, but that is direct sunlight. And I have heard a lot of different bloggers and content creators talk about how they don't love shooting in direct sunlight, but if we're being honest with ourselves, most of the hours of the day you do have direct sunlight, and so more often than not, that's just kind of what you have to work with. And when I try to do direct sunlight, try not to get it so that the sun is directly over top of you. That's not necessarily what I mean by direct sunlight. Like, the sun is directly over your head, your shadow is just straight up and down. A lot of the times I'll put some examples up because I've been shooting mostly in direct sunlight today. Like in this outfit, I know I'm about to shoot in direct sunlight, and that is, it doesn't necessarily mean when it's right on top of you, but it can be when it's like shining right onto your face. And this does create really harsh shadows on your face and your body, and that is why a lot of people don't like shooting in it. But if you find yourself in a situation like I am in now, where I have to shoot in direct sunlight, make sure that your face, or whatever the focal point is of your outfit, is facing directly into the sun. So I'll post some outtakes from the last photo I just shot where I had a difficult time working with the lighting there, and editing is going to be your friend in this case, in order to bring up the shadows and bring down the highlights. But if there's direct sunlight, say direct sunlight was coming straight from the camera, like the camera is right in front of direct sunlight, I would want to have my face facing the sunlight directly. But if the sun is coming right from this area, I wouldn't necessarily want to have like my head down and to the side, because then it would like cast weird shadows underneath my cheekbone and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to explain without doing it in person. And like I said, I don't want to just like, hi, I'm in the middle of these suburbs, here's me talking to my vlog and filming in front of your house and taking photos in front of your house. So again, I'll put some photos up here where the sunlight is direct and it looks okay. Something that iPhones do very well is that in direct sunlight, they make this wonderful effect on your skin. It's almost like just blurring and really, really nice. So that's why, again, I'm not super opposed to direct sunlight, because when you're shooting with an iPhone, it can look incredible. There are some situations like if you're at the beach and you're in direct sunlight and the water is reflecting the shadows back up, your whole body, like it just, you know, when paparazzi take those really unflattering photos of celebrities at the beach and you can see like their cellulite, which by the way is totally normal, it's because at the beach the sun reflects down onto the ocean and the ocean reflects it back up, so it just makes this horrible effect. And then the fourth and final type of lighting that I like to shoot in is called open shade. And the reason this is fourth is because I'm honestly still learning how to shoot in open shade. I find it really difficult to find locations that have good open shade. Because I do my research ahead of time of locations where I want to shoot, I don't always get so lucky with finding a location that I love that also has open shade. Basically what open shade is you are outside and the sun is out, but for whatever reason you are standing underneath something that is blocking the sun from hitting you directly. So you're still in a well-lit area, but maybe you're under like a little bit of an awning. So like the street that you're in is like really, really well lit, but because you're under a little bit of an awning, you don't have the effect of the direct sunlight on your face and the risk of getting those really intense shadows. So I know there's a lot of other vloggers that say like that's their number one choice, is they do open shade photos, but I value having a specific type of background over just like a random background with open shade, like a blank wall with open shade. I would rather shoot somewhere that's got like a lot more going on visually. So that's why open shade is not my favorite and I'm still learning it. But if that's your thing and you're not so focused on like the actual location, like where you're shooting, then open shade might be the answer for you. Okay, so you've got to your location, you figured out your lighting. Now I want to talk about how to frame your photo. And I'm gonna put some pictures up again of the last outfit that I just shot, because as you can see, I try to take two different types of photos anywhere I go in any outfit that I go. And what I mean by that is generally I like to take sort of a picture that's more focused on what the background is. So like at the street that I was just at, it was this beautiful street with really, really tall palm trees. And so I wanted the palm trees and the street to be the focus, and then I was kind of like the little figure in the middle. Excuse me. And then the second type of shot that I tried to take was an outfit shot or a detail shot. And again, I struggle with the lighting a little bit at the last place, but when you're setting up your tripod and you're facing the right lighting and you know that everything's gonna look good, don't just say, okay, like sounds good, I'm gonna take my pictures now. See if there's any, for example, like trees where you wanna get the whole tree in the shot, or maybe you wanna be perfectly symmetrical right in the center and you're in an area that, like I said, is perfectly symmetrical and it's got cool features on either side. Maybe you wanna be in the lower third of the photo and you want the rest of the importance of the photo to be up and to like one side of you. I'm finding this a little bit hard to explain, but basically it's like working with your background, because as you might have like the coolest outfit on in the entire world and your makeup and hair look amazing, but if your background is just kind of looks a little bit funky and looks a little off, the photo's just not going to be as good. So work with your background, find that good framing that's either focused on yourself, like really, really making yourself the center of the photo, or that really, really shows off your background. Like try not to do the same thing every single time. Like there are so many Instagrammers out there that like I absolutely love, but I just know like every single shot they take is from their feet to their head and there's no space around them and they're in the center of every photo and they do the exact same pose. And honestly, I've unfollowed people like that in the past just because like I'm not seeing anything interesting or new or different. And sure, I get it if that's like your thing, cool, but just to self-plug for a little bit here, as you can see on my Instagram feed, a lot of my photos are different. I'm not doing the same pose. I'm not in the same place in the shot in every single photo. So frame your photos in an intelligent and well thought out way. Okay guys, I am at my fourth and final location. And again, I apologize for the lighting that you are seeing inside this car, but what can you do? So at this point, you've got your shot all set up. You've got that lighting good. You've got the shot framed nicely. Now, honestly, you gotta know all about your angles. And I feel a little bit guilty that I'm saying this, but I am going to save that knowledge for another video. I'm gonna make a whole other video on posing, because if I combined how I actually physically take my photos with how I pose in my photos, it would just be an extremely long video. So what I will say about getting the angles right is, in general, you want to shoot from lower if you're standing, because it's more flattering. It makes you look taller. If you are sitting down for whatever reason, you want to shoot from up high. Make sure you're making cool shapes with your body, make your limbs feel nice and long, and just make it more interesting rather than just standing there with your arms at your sides. But again, I will be doing a totally separate video on that so that this one is not too overwhelming. And so once you're doing your posing, the last and final step is to just go for it. Go crazy, go ham, especially if you are shooting with the 10-second timer, because it does take a burst of photos on your phone, or even if you have the clicker in your hand and you're just clicking away, just constantly move. I feel like on a good day, when I feel like I've really nailed an outfit, it'll still take me like at least 10 photos to get it right. So once you are taking your photos, switch things up, move your body, do something that like might not feel totally right necessarily, and then you look at the photos and you'll be like, okay, that was very close. Like, look at what you've taken and tweak it. Try it again, take a bunch, look at what you've taken, see what looks good, sort of tweak it, and honestly, you will get the shot, I promise you. And if you're in a negative mindset of like, oh, everything looks terrible, then no, you're not gonna get the shot. So when it comes to actually standing in front of the camera and taking your photos, just take a ton. And this might feel awkward at first. Honestly, my last little tip, that this is not a necessary step, but if people are looking at you and judging you, or if they even say anything, I've had 2 people say something to me that have been on the more, I wanna say, rude end of the spectrum. I actually more often than not have people come up to me saying like, wow, you look amazing. I had a man tell me my outfit was marvelous. I've had like women tell me I'm very pretty. I've had families come up to me and say like, hey, where did you get that tripod for like family photos? So more often than not, if someone does take the time to say something to you, it'll be something nice. But if they have something mean to say to you, or they give you a weird look, honestly, they're not gonna remember you in an hour. One time, I think the meanest thing that someone ever said to me, which wasn't even that bad, was like this old lady walked past me with like the rest of her grown-ass children, and she was like, do these people think they're models? And it's like, you know what, sis, like, I'm trying to make my money here. I have my gig, I'm having fun. Like, if someone actually has something negative to say to you, one, that's a reflection of them and not you. You're just out there doing something that you enjoy, getting creative, you're hustling, you have a little side hustle going, or it's your full-time job. So yeah, that's everything that I have to say today as far as how I take my photos by myself. I hope if you were curious about how I do this, that I provided a little bit of insight. I hope that these cars aren't too distracting. I'm currently parked on the side of the road at Melrose, and I'm really feeling this LA vibe right now. But anyway, if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up down below. It is super helpful to get my videos seen by more people. And if you liked this video and you're interested in fashion, beauty, vlogging, lifestyle, travel content, please hit that subscribe button down below. I upload a vlog every Monday and a more informative or sit-down style video every Thursday. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!